said you were going to open it.
Right, but you say hello. I open the questions.
No, you said you were going to open it.
I'm gonna open the show.
You said you were going to.
Hey.
Yeah, not like that. Not like that.
You know, this has to be the beginning.
Hey guys, what's up? We're here with another episode in the Badger's Den. Granted, we have some different scenery than we did last time, but it's me and Dixie. We got some questions from our from friends and people in the business and family. Just some basic questions, and we're just gonna go down the list and we'll see where it takes us.
So I thought these were pretty fun. Well, the first one is, what is the best oil for my metric motorcycle? How do I choose it?
That's you know, we here at Honey Badger, we offer Motul for all of our metric bikes. None of our metric bikes get anything else unless it's asked for. We do have some AMSOIL for metric, but a majority of it is Motul. To be honest, if you're doing your oil changes as frequently as you should be doing them, it doesn't matter if you put conventional oil in them because you're never going to see the full life of the oil either way. And that's just my opinion on it. Like I drop my engine oil every 2,500 miles religiously. I change out the filter and the engine oil, and then everything else goes at the 5K. I've been doing that for
Why
years.
why so short?
I put a lot of money into my motor. I don't want it to explode.
You remind me so much of my grandfather.
No, it's just to increase the longevity of the motor. No matter what you do performance driven wise, the motor's going to wear out, and eventually something's going to happen. But the oil is there to for the longevity of it. So it is important to choose your oil. Like I have AMSOIL on my bike right now. I'm probably going to try out Motul just because I want to try it out and just see if there's a difference to it. But I honestly think for a metric bike, I've had a lot of requests for Motul, so that's what we carry for Honey Badger.
So the next one is actually from a mutual customer of ours. Um, I don't know what the rules in the social world about saying people's names, so we won't, but you'll know who I'm talking about. What is the difference between warrantyable repairs and whatever else you would call them? Like we would call them maintenance items or wear items. And so he's asking what are the difference between warrantyable repairs and maintenance slash wear items?
So I don't deal with that here at Honey Badger. The only warranty that we do is we offer a tire warranty, but you buy that when you buy the tire. Now, if we're talking about warranties at a dealership, it's going to be based on if it's a wearable item. So like brake pads, that's not warrantable. Unless there was like a severe issue with maybe, let's say, like the brake disc is when I've seen them warranty with pads, because they'll do a brake disc with it. But anything that wears, right? And then, if you do anything to your ECM, it's going to flag your warranty. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, Yeah, warranty goes on part. Warranty is for like factory defects or like an anomaly of a problem, right? It's just not for your brake pad worn weirdly because of the way you brake, or what was another one that we would get a lot? Lights going out. That's stuff that's going to go out. And warranty's there for like if you have a anomaly or a catastrophic malfunction. I mean, that'd be terrible, but that's how I look at it anyways.
Yeah.
What's this? Oh,
my bad.
Come on now, you just gotta.
I know.
Point it at my face.
If it's that simple, I'll make sure next time. Let's see. Ooh, that one we are not going to get into that sort of trouble.
Oh, come on.
We already talked last week about the your industry creds and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of communication expectations do you need to set with customers? So the way I read that was a friend within the industry asking that question. So you could kind of go two ways with this. You tell your customers what sort of communication expectation they should have from you, and they're also asking, as somebody who you may not have employees yet, but how do you set communication standards for your customers? What do you do? or how should somebody plan that out? I have some things to say on that too.
I here at Honey Badger, so let's say you come in for a diagnosis, right? When it comes in, I'm going to diagnose it. I'm going to do a 35-point inspection. Then I'm going to call you with my diagnosis, what it takes to fix it, and then any other things that I saw on your bike that I would fix. That's if you're leaking, brake pads, tires, stuff like that, right? Um, and then if we have to order parts, I'm going to call you that day to let you know that the parts are on order, and then you'll hear back from me when the parts are going to get here when your bike's going back up on a lift, and then you'll hear from me when it's done. Now, sometimes I have with customers here so far, probably talked a little bit more, but it's probably because I have, I'm not all the way busy where I'm like full fledged, like I'm just wrenching all day, right? I'm still, hunting for customers and getting them to come in. For the customers I do have, I am incredibly thorough with, if I see something, I take pictures, I explain to them, what happened, how it happened. I try to explain, why it happened. But to be honest, if I was a customer and I wanted to hear about my bike that's in the shop, I'd want to be annoyed that you were calling me. Now, if you're trying to nickel and dime me, that's a different type of conversation, right? But if you're calling me, giving me status updates like every day, that wouldn't bug me one bit, even if it was just like a text message. But that's just to like let me know that you still have me in mind, because my bike is in your shop.
I think a good segue on that is, you know, to put out or to set those communication expectations with the customer is super important. And I think it's on us to make sure that A, we set those boundaries, and B, that when we call them, we are not wasting their time, that we are completely prepared from the technician's point of view, from like, you're doing all of the steps, or you and your dad are doing all of the steps. So, technician and advisor, when you guys have those hats on, you have to make sure that you've done your whole look around, that you've checked everything out, and that you got all of that information up front before you call a customer. I was super frustrated today because I had a bike on a lift middle of last week. It was an ESP job, and the parts came in, parts got installed, and then he's like, "Hey," it was a clutch, or a clutch replacement, and he goes, "Hey, by the way, my bad. Rocker boxes are leaking, and we have a shift shaft seal leak." Now I don't have the parts for that rocker box. I just happen to have. They're all committed, so it was an end of package, just an anomaly, but it happened.
I can tell you so.
So so now I don't have the parts. I had to call the customer again, and he's like, "Okay, well, it'll still be done this week, right?" And I'm like, "No, no. You good?"
Keep going. I'm going. My big red's back there. I thought I brought it up here with me.
But I think it's frustrating. Not only do I feel uncomfortable because I have to call them and be like, "Hey, so I know I just told you this, but," and it's this one. It's not terrible because it's an ESP job, but on those ones where it's customer pay and they feel like you're saying, "Hey, yeah, your bike needs a brake flush." I go ahead. 20 minutes later, "Hey, by the way, we noticed that your brake pads done." And then
Yeah,
they're like, "I do the brake pads." And then it happens one more time. It comes in threes.
yeah, I agree with that. And the funny thing is that I didn't realize, from a tech point of view, I just get what I need and I send it up and it goes from there. Now that I have my own place, I'm doing everything myself, and it's like, oh my gosh, this takes me hours to do this. It used to only take me minutes to do this, but you know, um, it's just that's the difference right there, right? And doing all the roles. But I do agree, like calling and it sounding like nickel and diming, that sucks and it's uncomfortable on both sides of the
Yeah,
house, right? Because customers gonna be mad, and well, you're on the receiving end of it, and you're the one pitching the bad news.
right.
So
Yeah, and like I said, it makes them feel like you seem so disorganized, and like to you when you do it every day, it's not disorganized, but it would be frustrating because I know how much the both of us hate for our phone to ring, and I'm like, my God, this could have been a text message, but obviously they need the answer quickly. Like it's just one of those things where it becomes frustrating, and yeah, it's just ick.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's everywhere though. I think that's more than just our industry. I think that can be said about the
Oh, for sure.
automotive industry. You know what I mean? Um, but just not forgetting your customers is the big thing. Especially, I mean, any little thing. It could be from somebody coming in here for a half hour labor to the guy that's coming in here for the full package, right? Um, if you're coming here for full package, I'll probably annoy the crap out of you. But that's yeah, that's really all I have to say. I don't have a lot to
So
say.
I had a live one today. So this is just an out there topic. So I had somebody tell me today that it was a hoax that you need to change fluids every 5,000 miles. He
Yeah,
said he has an '03 anniversary, and he's only changed the oil in it twice. He's changed the filter twice.
yeah,
But it's just fine. It's a gimmick.
yeah. Cut the oil filter open. What's in it?
I was gonna say, what do you think you'll find in it?
I think you'll find sludge, especially if it's that old. I mean, you broke down the oil to its base component.
Yeah,
Even if you're adding oil, like it's burning, but you still have a crude base that's
I
in
lied.
there.
That bike was an '06. My bad. '03 is a whole different
But
story. We'll get there.
I would, I don't know. I mean, the only way I guess to really prove it is split the case.
Yeah,
See what's inside of it. See what the top end looks like. Because I mean, you see it in cars. I guess it depends how many miles he has on it too. Because like, you watch these car videos. Like, yeah, the most expensive oil change, the oil change you didn't do.
yeah,
This car got two oil changes and 90,000 miles. They pulled the top rocker cover off. You couldn't tell where anything was because there was so much sludge everywhere.
yeah. So what is do you have a preference metric, conventional versus synthetic? I heard two people having a conversation about this at work today, and it was interesting because neither of them agreed with what I was taught. So I'm interested in what you have to say. Number one, because you taught me a lot. Number two, I think he was wrong.
So between conventional and synthetic, if it's a full synthetic is completely reverse engineered. There's no crude base to it. A conventional oil is going to have a crude base to it, right? The benefits that you'll see between your conventional and synthetic is synthetic will have extra additives in it. Let's just spitball one out there. Anti-foam, right? So if you're starting and stopping, so if you're bar hopping, you're starting and stopping, your bike's not able to, get up to speed or get up to temperature before it shuts itself back down, it's going to cause a lot of moisture, and you're going to get a little bit of moisture and some foam in your oil. So synthetic oil actually has agents in it to reduce the foaming, so you don't get as much foaming, you don't get as much of that moisture, right? And that would be your main differences between like conventional and synthetic would be the different additives that would be in the synthetic. Not all synthetics are full synthetics. Make sure to get that clear across. But if you're changing your oil, religiously, like if my last bike before this one, the Road Glide, I ran conventional oil in it for 20,000 miles, and it had some issues, but the issues wasn't the oil. The issues were um, putting it together errors.
What's the difference in putting it to that's the great bubbles.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you live and you learn, right?
Yeah, can we just like beep that out? No. What's the difference between, is there any difference between what's sold in a dealership, in a shop like this, maybe on your mobile mechanic vans? What's the difference between that oil and we'll stick with what you sell. What is the difference between is there a difference between that and what you get at AutoZone, Walmart, Dollar General?
Oil's oil. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how often you're changing it, right? Like so like I said, like if it's conventional and you're changing it every 2,500 miles, you're probably fine because you probably never saw the full life of it.
Yeah.
You never broke it all the way down. Now that also depends on temperatures and stuff like that, right? But like some oils you can't get it at let's say AutoZone. Maybe you got to go to Cycle Gear for it, right? Cycle Gear for sure has Motul. AutoZone probably doesn't, but AutoZone could have Amsoil. You know, um, I know some guys run Mobile One. I've never run Mobile One in a bike,
I hear old guys saying that every now and then.
but I mean Mobile One. I mean, they do their testing. The stuff looks good.
Yeah,
I've never actually looked at it. I've never thought about using it, but
right.
because I don't, you know, it's I guess it's just a preference for you, of what kind of oil you want. We brought in Amsoil. I like Amsoil. I really do. But I get more requests for Motul. So if you guys want Motul, I'm going to give you Motul. I'm not going to stock that if you rather have Motul. So
Smart man. Smart man. I have a haha from today.
okay, do we want to talk about ha-has?
This is it's a motorcycle haha. I
All
mean,
right, go ahead.
so Kuryakin Road Thunder.
Okay, that's that little speaker system, right?
hmm Imagine you're 3,000 miles from home.
You sure you want to talk about this on this?
Huh?
You sure you want to talk about this on this?
Yeah. Oh, this isn't a bad story.
No.
This
All
is
right.
no 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 no. No, so this guy's roughly 3,000 miles from home, something like that. I don't know. Minnesota,
Okay.
far away. He's from far away though. He calls me and he's like, "I'm from Minnesota," and I'm like, "I can tell." He said, "You're the first place that came up on Google, and this is where the '03 came in. I had the '03 and the '06
Oh,
swapped.
okay.
CVO Anniversary Road King.
Okay.
Can't get it to stop randomly chirping, like the security.
Okay.
All right. This is one of my favorite tricks. So he's riding down the highway. They flash, cheep cheep, and then the alarm starts going off. And it'll last maybe 2 minutes.
Just going down the road with this alarm going off.
Yeah.
That's wild. I've never run into this.
And he's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, I'm out on some roads, and I was like, I get it. Like he was just concerned. He was really far from home, and he's riding an '03 Road King, and so I was like, sir, I don't know. He's like, I've changed my fob battery. I did the whole list. He was like, don't even go through the checklist. He was like, I already did it. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with it. So I went back and I asked a couple people what their opinions were, and I was like, it's not, we can't go get him. There's no nothing. And so they all start spouting off their ideas, right? And so I'm texting, yep, we got this idea, we got this idea, we got this idea. Well, come to find out, he had rigged up a Kuryakin Road Thunder on his trip that he picked up at another shop, on his way down through. Needed some extra audio and hit a loose ground. And anyways, he was panicking though. He's like, I don't know how I'm gonna get this bike back to Minnesota. Like, there's something because he was like, I got on Google. Dr. Google got him. Dr. Google had him looking for a TSSM,
Yeah, because that's usually
right?
that's usually what you go to with those.
And so, which Dr. Google also told him was obsolete times seven and impossible to get, and he had a paperweight. And so then he called me back because I ended up giving him my number and was like, hey, if you get stuck, if something happens, you need some help, just give us a holler. And he texted me and he goes, damn me for wanting music.
Yeah, hey, but I'm with you there though. I gotta have my jams when I'm rolling.
There's,
I don't think. I think when I bought this bike, because this bike didn't come with speakers. I think I had Keith. Um, I wasn't gonna go on my trip to St. Louis unless I had that. So Keith stayed late with me the day it came in because I was leaving the following day. Or maybe I was leaving that night. No, I think I was leaving the following day after work, so I didn't have time to install that. And so he stayed with me while I installed it, like I was an MVP.
yeah,
And the worst part was that's when I learned that anything past 80, even with stock exhaust, anything past 80, I had a hard time hearing it. But I had that Bitwell back then too. That Bitwell had a nasty rattle. I mean, like
that
anything.
helmet looked unsecure. Like it just looked
It was
bad.
old. I had that helmet for almost a decade. So
You
that
can
helmet,
tell.
I
You
had
got the
worn
gloves
that
to
helmet.
match it too, haven't you?
No, so those
Dude, I put those gloves on the other day and was like, my finger went straight out the other end of the gloves.
so those bit balls, those gloves actually aren't that old. I think it's just actually my grips. I think it just the way I grip and death grip. I think I just kind of rip.
Yeah.
I mean, when I get those real, but those real thin pads are nice because I can use, I can change
Uh-huh.
my music and I can, actually feel
Yeah.
the actual bike. You know what I mean?
Yeah. After those, I swapped to those after I put on the winter gloves that I don't know how those, I don't believe those fit your hands.
They they don't. They only go about a
Yeah.
little bit past my second knuckle.
Yeah.
they
Yeah. They were not a good time.
they were really old.
Yeah. Yeah. They were not a fun time.
I'm telling you, if I didn't even think about it, but you can wear the Bitwell or the mesh gloves. You just put rubber gloves underneath.
Rubber
You
gloves.
put rubber gloves on, then you put those on, and for the most part, it'll keep your hands pretty warm. Hey, it's a trick we used to use up
What?
north. Yeah, yeah. When we're in Cincinnati, or when we're up in Dover, if you wanted to ride, and it was like 30 degrees outside, you put on your winter gloves, but then we would put on we go on test rides and stuff. I would keep my rubber gloves on and just put my gloves over the top, and that's
I
how I keep my hands warm.
When we had that bout of snow, I had to move a bike and the customer had rode in and his heated grips were on. And I was like, man, maybe these ain't just for old men.
No, no, no. Yeah,
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, when I do my bars, I like those new. I think they're called Switchback, the Switchback heated
The
grips.
switchback collection,
Yeah,
yeah.
those things look good. I like that Switchback collection, so I think I'm gonna throw those on top of it.
Yeah.
I
They're a
think those
little
are
bit
good.
lighter than the way your grips feel. They're gonna be a little bit not as gritty.
Yeah, but you see, I don't really like how much. What would you call that? Like on the Kahuna style, where it has a bunch of like hard area and not actual
Yeah,
grip.
yeah, yeah. I know what
You
you're
know what I
talking
mean?
about.
Like I'm trying to get away from that. I want to have more grip, and the Switchback really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, they're not bad for that. They're not bad for that. I feel like they're definitely gonna feel different because yours like I don't know, they're like
I don't really notice.
there's a little hump in them, whereas those switchbacks are gonna be straight.
So I hold
What?
my bars the way I held them when I was racing. So I don't actually hold my grip all the way out. I actually hold more towards the center of the grip, so I have more. So when my fingers extended and I'm
I
on
would
my.
have to look and not even. I would just have to blindly reach. I'm not sure.
So when I'm on my clutch and my brake, if you're farther out on the bar, you're farther out on how that lever is, which means it's a little bit more touchy in the sense of
Yeah.
uh, because you're at a different leverage point. And I was when I learned how to ride, I rode on the outside of the bar.
You know what I'm seeing blow up here? That I've sold one set to one customer like the whole time I was at Evansville. I've seen probably five or six come through since I've been here. Is adjustable levers.
Yeah, so
People are into them right now.
I was actually just about to say that. So even with my hand position like that, if I ran like shorty adjustables, I would still be able to reach the lever with two fingers
Yeah.
from it, right? But I do like shorties. I don't know how I feel about adjustables. I've never run adjustables on my bikes. I've ridden a few different bikes where customers have had it, and I didn't have a really good experience with it. But then also when I looked at what they were, I mean, not all of them were the brands that you see these race bikes run, right?
Hmm.
And so I wonder what a nice adjustable would feel like, right? Now the only adjustable that I did like that throughout my career was when the Pan Am came out with them. The ones on the Pan Am were really nice.
Yeah.
I liked the way you were able to adjust it. And I think they incorporated that into the Nightster and the Sportster S. But I really didn't play with it until the Pan Am came out. And those, like, those felt good. When you would
Yeah.
adjust it, it still felt good. Sometimes you can get adjustable levers and you can adjust them and they go from feeling good to feeling worse.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how to explain what's actually causing that. But, like, on those Harley levers, really didn't have that.
I like them because my hand is a little bit smaller, and so I struggle to reach like on the brake side when I want to move back. There's just a weird motion there, and I wonder if it was a little bit closer, I wouldn't be like reaching so hard.
Yeah.
So like I let loose of the grip quite a bit
There's a
whenever I brake, and I just don't like that. But I've thought about doing the adjustables.
Yeah, like you should always. I mean, I'm talking. You should always ride with one finger on the clutch, one finger on the brake.
Ooh, you're gonna upset the Riding Academy people all over the world, all the teachers everywhere.
Well, I mean, think about it. If you have to think to move your finger to your brake
I
pedal,
agree.
that's a
You
whole
don't have
extra
to. You don't
count
have
than
to
if you
tell
just have
me.
to yank it.
Yeah.
Like your reaction time is that much faster keeping the levers like that. And I agree. Have a good grip, but I think you should have your fingers there. And if you crash and break both your fingers because you're holding your levers, well, so be it. At
It's
least
just two
I mean,
fingers.
I think that'd be the least of my worries if I put my bike down. So,
Yeah, I agree. What's in your saddlebags?
what's in my saddlebag?
Yeah.
What's in my bag?
Yeah.
Uh, Different gloves. The other side, I have a rain suit. If it's really cold that day, I pack.
Is that all you have in your right side saddlebag?
Oh, well, I mean, I carry chaps and stuff on cold days,
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
but I have a 100 and maybe 200 piece tool roll that I have. You can pretty much take the
Oh, I did see that.
you
Yeah,
can
that's lovely.
you can pretty much take a majority of the bike apart with it, besides pretty much taking tires and removing cases, right? But yeah, I don't want to get How does
I
that look? The mechanic goes out and gets stranded. You know what I mean?
I
So
want
at least I can be
I
able to
want
fix
to
it.
laugh about this because I remember this story. I remember what was I know why they're in there, and so you may have forgot they were in there because this bag was locked. Which I mean, it was probably locked since you got here.
It's probably locked right now, unless you unlocked it
I
while I
unlocked
unlocked it.
because I had to put stuff in there. You have a whole set
Oh yeah, I got jumper
of
cables.
jumper
Hey, you
cables.
never know. Hey, you get stuck. You get stuck.
Do you remember why you have that
Yeah,
in there?
because B jumped me. We were unsure how I was going to get stuck on that ride, so we took him with us just in case. I'm pretty sure I jumped my bike off of B's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of B today. It looked good. It wasn't any recent pictures. They were like
Yeah.
memories and stuff, but they were still, it was good to see B.
I
Spectacular pictures.
yeah, when I opened that the other day, and I laughed because I was like, at first I was like, what on why not just a jump pack like a normal person?
Jump pack costs money. That cost me nothing. I had that in my backseat of my
I
car.
know. And then I was like, oh shit, I remember that.
Yeah.
And I laughed about it. And B was good at coming up with little routes to ride. He was always
Oh, B knew that area inside and out.
yeah.
I think that's why I probably didn't ride a lot around there, because I didn't know where I was. I rode a lot when I was in Cincinnati and stuff, but
Spent
Cincinnati
a
was
lot of
it was big and open.
and you spent a lot more time in Cincinnati.
I did. Well, I don't know. I mean, roughly around the same time. I was in Cincinnati for two. No, I guess 3 years. I worked at two dealerships while I was there. I lived in the same part for like 3 years. So yeah, so probably like 3 years.
I say you were only at Evansville for like a year and a half, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Or
didn't we
or
didn't make it to two. Did you?
no, I didn't make it to. I was close.
Yeah,
I was a few months away.
yeah.
But no, I was at two different dealerships up in Cincinnati, and I rode everywhere in Cincinnati.
I was gonna
Cincinnati had
say
fun
I was
highways.
gonna say you can't act like your time in Cincinnati was super short because there's a whole lot of stories. A lot happened in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I tell you what though, the one thing I got out of Cincinnati was I learned that I had a true passion for the industry and actually making bikes, or not making bikes, but making, learning how they tick, and fixing them and not souping them up, but like you know trying different stuff out, right? And because in Cincinnati, I thought I had lost it, like I was done, right? And then I met this one guy, and he showed me that it was still there. It was just sleeping pretty much, you know, and it was covered under something else. And the worst part is he only got to see a glimpse of what I was going to, because I couldn't take off the mask all the way. But when it finally came all the way off and I could think clearly, it was. I wish he could see it more now, I which I know he does, because he follows this and he sees this, and me and him talk a lot,
A
right?
lot, yeah.
But to actually show him, like, that his effort wasn't for nothing.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, heavy.
yeah, that's a story that I'll tell you guys years down the road if you guys actually want to hear it.
Years down the
that's a
road.
story, and maybe I should keep that to myself.
I think it's interesting, or it's there's always somebody that like finds that, because obviously like growing up like this, I think I spent so much time around it that when I grew up I wanted to like find my own thing, like got really into fishing for a little while. Like just trying to find my own thing outside of that. And because my brother stopped, and then he played football, so like he still had something, and so I had to find something. And I hadn't like really found a career, and I went off and like did other things and stuff. And then when I came back around it again after I moved home and all that good stuff, like just when I moved back to the States, then it was like, okay, maybe I want to get a bike. And I was like, okay, these bike nights are kind of fun. And then all of a sudden, I swore to myself I'd never want to work on bikes. No desire, never, never found it interesting. And then I started doing it on paper, and then I was like, this is kind of neat. Like these are the same kind of puzzles, and I realized that like my love for the medical field, honestly, it sounds stupid, but they translate because you're trying to figure out what wrong with it.
Yeah,
Like,
talk about bike nights. After being in school and being around that community, like out in Phoenix, like bike nights in Phoenix, like and bike week out in Phoenix, those are rowdy places. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff going on. You can have so much fun. You get a lot of trouble, but you can have a lot of fun out there too. Um, and it's funny when I got into the field, I never thought I would have that. Again, maybe it was just a Phoenix and like a Florida thing. Like it's a southern thing to have stuff like that, right? Because they have that stuff like around here in San Antonio.
year round.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, I'd have to say High Stakes had some of the best bike nights you could have thought of.
Watching them, hearing your stories and watching them, just watching them on Facebook makes me jealous I didn't get to work
They,
there.
they would have like 300 or 400 bikes show up every Thursday for a bike night, and they would bring out bands. They would do all kinds of stuff, and it was always so much fun. I mean, and even when like you were working there, you would work a certain amount of time, then you clock out, you go out there, mingle
No,
with the
they let you
customers.
mingle with the customers.
As
You
long
didn't
as
have to
as
work.
long as you didn't have a shirt on that represented that you were working that day, you could have a drink. But like, don't get stupid, you know, because don't forget the person that's throwing that, the person that's throwing that there at High Stakes also enjoys it, so he's also there, right? But he's also there to have a good time, and but the bike nights there were just different, and like if you look at their events are so much fun. Like it's different every year, and that's what makes it so much fun. Is because even though it could be the same event, at the same time the next year, somehow they've changed it. Something is different about it, right? Like they used to always have stickers at all their events. Well, that's why I haven't
Hmm.
gotten rid of that orange
I
box.
know.
Is because I have a lot of one-off stickers that I can never get again because you just had to have been there,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of fun. Like the bike community that they had there at High Stakes was a ton of. And the funny thing is, it's one of the smallest dealerships I've worked for, like square footage wise. It was one of the smallest dealerships I worked for, but that's probably the busiest time of my career. I mean, of course we get busy, we have busy seasons, right? But when I tell you how much traffic moved through that store, it was nuts.
Yeah, that it just it all seems like it'd be cool to work for a place like that. It seems like that's kind of where your vision with what you really want to come out of like the community that Honey Badger is going to breed
Oh,
in time.
hundred
A
percent.
lot of it seems inspired by, but again, it goes back to it seems like every person I've listened to you describe from there had passion. Like
Oh yeah.
there was no we're gonna hire him because I like him, or there's no I'm gonna hire them because they're this or that. They hire people who love motorcycles.
Oh yeah.
There's something that they're doing that is so right.
If you don't love motorcycles and try working there, and let's say you get to the interview process, you start working there, and you don't actually love what you're doing or can provide something to that customer that's walking in that door, they'll sniff you out. Like I mean, it's just the way it is, and that group is so tight knit. I mean, like I don't even know how to explain it. If you've gotten the chance to work there under Jaron, it's an experience. It's a great experience. It's funny how much when I really look back on it, like when I was in that moment and I was working there, I never saw that. I saw it after the fact. I
Yeah.
figured all this out after the fact. I can only imagine the kind of fun that I really would have had if I would have realized that when I was in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, and people tried to open my eyes to it. I was just so blind at the time. I just couldn't get out of my own head, right? But that was one of the funnest times of my career. High stakes was some of the funnest people I ever got to work with. I mean, that's just all there is to
Cool.
it.
That's cool. There's a lot of stuff I learned like after the fact that I didn't realize that I was appreciating. Like we can say bad things about Evansville and whatnot. There were things that sucked.
Yeah,
There's things that suck at anywhere you work.
yes, but
But there was so much more fun that was had.
yeah, I mean, there's highs and lows with every place, right? Um, I personally will probably not voice that opinion here, and the main reason why is because they're not here to defend themselves.
Yeah, I
And
don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the ha-has.
yeah. Oh well, I mean, well, I was headed
I was headed into ha-has.
to. Oh yeah, I just like I'd rather not talk bad about somebody if they're not in the
No,
room.
no, no.
Just give them a chance to
I
defend
want to talk about the
themselves.
ha-has. What I was really meaning was like, as I'm, you've had multiple dealership experiences where I have not. All I had to go off of was Evansville, and so I think to me there were a lot of things I took for granted. Like now that I'm trying to find my place in a new spot, and I feel like I shouldn't even be finding my place anymore. I should have a place by now.
Yeah,
Um, but I realize like how cool it was. The people I worked with, like Derek, real Derek, not Derek here, real Derek.
yeah.
So like when I think about real, I really had somebody who everybody thought was going to be the biggest asshole. And he is the big. Listen, if you're listening, I know you're the biggest asshole. However, at the end of the day, he'd be like, "This is that, and that's this. Don't screw it up." And like those sorts of relationships were cool. Like they were relationships I hadn't had before.
I'm telling you, like I remember when I first started working at Evansville, and I even told you that I told you that story that when I first started working there, I was pretty sure for like the first month Derek didn't like me. Like I was pretty positive that guy did not like me because I'd get in arguments with him,
Yeah.
over like parts and stuff, right? You know, but then over time he started joking with me, and I was like, okay. So I started joking back with him, and then somehow we developed a really good relationship. And like Derek is one person that I could always rely on.
Yeah.
He's if I was having a bad day, he could pick me up. Derek was good about that. It was good people.
Yeah. Derek was fun. His toe and all.
Oh, dude, I told him to go get with Daniel about those fat shoes. Like, you want to get on that bike, you fit in tennis shoes, go let Daniel fucking take you out
Daniel did
and,
have
and,
some
and
fat shoes.
dude, he did have fat shoes. I don't think his feet were that big. I just think he just liked the shoe style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just kind of went with him.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, don't you run across some absolute characters? Like,
I think you run into characters everywhere. You just gotta travel for it.
yeah, I think like one of my favorites. Not that I had to run across him in the shop, but Dennis.
Yeah.
I think a good funny point is your opinion. The older you get, your opinion of Dennis changes ever so slightly, doesn't it?
During those times when we worked together, I was always angry,
Yeah.
and I don't even know why at this point. In all honesty, maybe it was my pride. 'Cause I was still coming out of everything, right? Well, maybe it was just because I was too stuck up to trying to see the actual lesson he was trying to teach me. When I look back on it, I regret that I didn't take it as a lesson because he was trying to show me something. And there were times when he would show me stuff. I mean, even me and Dennis, every now and then we kind of laugh out of something like that time that we talked about Rich, and like I got to talk to Rich from Bike Services, right? But yeah, I mean, and we talked about that in the last podcast. What I would tell any technician is look at everything with an open mind, and take any advice anybody will give you. They're taking the time out of their day to tell you something. Listen, don't make the same mistake that I did. And kind of I shit the bed multiple times in my career. But when it comes to Dennis, yes, my opinion has changed, but I think I always felt that way. It's just I was angry about it.
Yeah.
You know.
It's funny to watch people grow. Like on a list of going back to people that we've met in dealerships, um, David is one of those. When David first got there, I was like, I don't like him. I don't want him here. Like
Dude,
I was a territorial little brat.
oh, dude, I was so stoked because I found out he had worked at Buckeye, and so
Hmm.
we had worked for the same dealer group, which means he should have the same tendencies that they had up in Cincinnati, which is cool. So I liked him as a parts guy. Then they moved on to parts of service, and dude, I was slinging out hours when I was doing parts
Yeah.
because he would just shift my schedule for me, and I was like, I bet, give me that now, right? And I can just knock this out. And then, yeah, I think I grew close to David when he went parts of service because that's when we started doing Supercross. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you guys are watching Supercross this year, but man, heck of a year, huh? Freaking, uh, who was it? Jet with his injury? Oh
Yeah.
man, that's heart wrenching because man, this season was looking, man, it was looking good. It was looking real good. I'm glad to see Deegan doing well. I want to see that kid do really well. Um, but yeah, it's good seeing Tomac the way he
Can
is.
you Oh, keep going, sorry.
Oh, I love watching Tomac. It's just something about the way he rides, right? I mean, not taking anything from any other rider, but like him and Roxon, I could watch those two just click up another gear every time. And then I'm watching all these shorts that are coming out about how Tomac uses how he uses his clutch and Supercross and stuff, and it's fun to see how technical they're releasing stuff and like how technical they really are. And to have a man tell you a stock 450 just isn't enough, that should just tell you something about the person. Like like that's somebody who is I don't even know how to explain it. Like tamed a monster. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
anybody who's written a 450 will tell you a 450 is quick. You want more out of it. That's kind of nuts. He's talking about dragging a clutch to use it as a brake on the face of a jump because he's already carrying the speed to the corner to clear. Like who would have thought of that besides using your brake? You know what I mean? But you don't want to use your brake because you're throwing everything off. You want to stay under it, right? So to use that like that, I mean, that's just. I'm sure it's been going on for a long time. Like riders have used it probably throughout the decades of motocross racing. I never did that when I was racing when I was a kid. I mean, granted, I was probably never that fast to have to do that. If anything, I needed to wide open the throttle a little bit more to actually clear to the other side of the jump. But never in my wildest years I think I'd hear that come out of somebody's mouth.
Do you think we've made it? Do you think we've made it to 30 minutes?
Oh, what time is it?
7:30.
We'll probably go a little bit longer. I mean, might as well. We're talking about Supercross. Man, I tell you what, I'd like to. Oh man, I went into my pitch there all of a sudden.
You did.
I'd like to have some dirt bikes roll through here. I'd like to really get back to the community and into that community. I got my own dirt bike back here. It's been on that table for the past few months. I still haven't gotten it together yet. I've been, as you can tell, I'm a little busy back here. Great thing is we're getting a lot of Harleys in, which is awesome. I love getting the Harleys in. But we do have some metrics coming in. We lined up today, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
We got some that might test my, how we like to be tested. I mean, when we first opened up, I took in a few things that I was very unsure about taking in.
Things you would have yelled at service advisors for.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I brought them in because it's like one of those things, like, either, put your money where your mouth's at. Are you really all that, or are you actually just all talk? So, of course, I took it in. I I got it out. I proved to myself that I think I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm not just all talk. I will. I can do pretty much anything if I can take it apart.
Yeah. Not me. I do have the sudden desire though to find something to take apart.
Yeah, dude. You know what I
Hmm.
really want to get into? I want to get into those
No.
RC
I
models,
knew that's exactly where you were going.
dude.
You remember that time we got lost in the sauce
Oh my
for
gosh, watching
RC
McDavid. Yeah, we
airplanes?
were just watching
Yes.
RC airplanes. Oh my gosh, I felt so bad for those
Then
people.
then all of a sudden Russ was in on it. Like we
Oh,
went
and
and
then
talked to
Russ was.
Russ and he's like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Oh, no, no, no. Russ was just into it.
yeah, he was already into it. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that'd be an expensive hobby.
Because
I
I mean,
already have an expensive hobby. I don't need a second
I know.
one.
Could you imagine if it crashed every time it left? Like,
With my luck, I mean that's probably what's going to happen because I'm going to see how far it can go until it explodes, and then we'll reinforce it, right?
my dad always called that the ragged edge.
I tell you what, I can't wait to. Dude, I saw these throw weights that they came out with. Oh, who was it?
Buckle up.
I think it was SNS. I could be wrong. There was a company that I just saw, and they had a throw weights, and you can use it on both the touring and the dune soft tops. So you put throw weights on the outside of your clutch.
I had after you had come by and picked up parts today, um, technician had asked me a question. I don't remember where the conversation went, but he was like, I said something about you being weird. He goes, "Oh, is he weird?" And I said, one time I got a call at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and you called me like more than once to make it through the do not disturb
Okay.
because you had an idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, so yes, I said it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had to wake up and answer a call for, listen, what do you think if I just, and I don't remember what it was,
I was working on a bike, and I was going to. I was just thinking about it. I woke up at like 2 a.m. and my brain was just going, and
was it,
it was the electrical bike that I kept having that tune issue with,
mhm.
and I was chasing that thing down. So
It was that one.
yeah, it was that one. Yeah,
And so I was like, yeah, a little weird.
that
I
one
was
stumped
like,
us for a long time, though. I mean, shoot,
that was rough.
we had that bike for like a month trying to figure out what was
We had
going
that
on.
bike for longer than a month.
Well, I mean, like for that last stint that I had it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like when I actually worked on it.
Oh, Mr. DT.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was such a good sport about it.
You know what, and that's that's what made that you know how do you say it made it so satisfying to find.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying like if the customer is a dick, it's just like fuck, right? But it's one of those things like when you have a customer that is coming up to bat for you,
Yeah.
just to you know hoping that you can get it done too, right? When you finally get that, I tell you, there's an endorphin rush you get as a technician when you get to figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gotta be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, I I've probably taken in more diagnosis since I've been open than I've done service wise. But I'll be honest, like I enjoy the challenge. It makes me really think. I mean, like that ZX14 with a slipping clutch. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I was spitballing in the dark when I thought of that. But there was only a few other things that could have caused it, right? Um, Man, that bike was nuts too. Like, I don't know how many guys out there ride ZX14s, but enough is enough. Like that's fucking fast, dude. Like I don't know if you need much more than that. It's a fun bike though. The great thing about that bike is that it's comfy.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like that. Just riding it, it was a comfortable ride. It accelerated smoothly, and it was just a good feeling bike. But in all honesty, if I'm gonna get a bike like that, it's gonna be for the track. So I'm probably gonna get like a little 250, maybe a 600, and get myself like a Gixxer and just or maybe like a Gixxer 300 or 600 and just zip that around the track. But I don't know. Like, I want to get this dirt bike up and going and get back to that side of
I
riding.
say you're gonna have to pick one or the other. Or just turn enough wrenches that you don't have to pick.
Yeah, that would be nice. I definitely have some ideas. Um, But we probably are gonna wrap it up here pretty shortly. Some new things that are coming, and I'm sure you guys will hear it on my ads as I make sorry. That I make other things. Sorry, sometimes I try to make stuff. I just. But anyways, um, we finalize our proofs and all that good jazz today for our shirts. So those will be coming. We're pretty excited about those. Our
I'm
shirts and
very excited
hats.
about those.
I cannot wait. We're not doing hoodies.
That's okay.
And we're not doing hoodies because, well, down here we're out of hoodie season. We have hoodie
Yeah,
season
you
for
can
like
do
2 months.
hoodies in the fall.
So we're on two different types of shirts coming out, and they're gonna be good. But anyways, guys, it's been me and Dixie, and we'll see you guys later.